Hello everyone, I'm Christina and this is my February wrap-up. For last month's reading, I decided to read more things that I specifically wanted to read and not get bogged down by the number of Goodreads book clubs I'm a part of. This month, I read a total of 11 books and 3 short stories. The very first thing I finished this month was The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And I, of course, loved this. It's Brandon Sanderson. It's amazing. Read Mistborn if you haven't read Mistborn is basically all I'm going to say. This one I especially loved a lot because it had a really cool look on politics. And on my birthday, I wanted to just kind of read something, the heck of it. So the very first thing I actually finished on my new Kindle was The Boy Next Door by Katie Van Ark. It was basically a why not read, and it's probably the least favorite thing maybe I read this month. It was good for what I was looking. It brought me what I wanted, but it could have been better. And in terms of if you want a girl and a guy and they kind of have backstories and then they kind of fall in love, there's so much better contemporary out there for that. So yeah, I'd recommend My Life Next Door. And I finally finished The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I will never ever ever feel the same, this book, the way I finished it compares basically to how I finished City of Heavenly Fire and Clockwork Princess. It's on the same scale. And I wasn't, with them for as long as I was with these characters. The ending, totally ate me, destroyed me, but it was such a good book. It is such a good last book. So, again, if you haven't read Mistborn, go read Mistborn. I decided to enjoy my Valentine's Day. And, this was my Valentine Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This was, of course, a reread. I first read this in 2013, September of 2013, and I hadn't reread it in full since. I'd reread large chunks, late nights, sad times, just needing something. This book will forever be a book that I just love, 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 love. I read my favorite 2015 release so far, and it is The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I read it quite fast. I got it release date, read it within the next few days. I wasn't some of the people who had already heard that it was very plot twisty and that it will blow your mind by the end, but I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. You will have your mind blown. I just read a short story that night. I finished The Red Queen, and I was just I need a little something. So I read Demon by Jennifer L. Armentrout, prequel to the Covenant series by her, and Covenant was kind of my goal to have read really soon, and I'll get to how that goal went later, but pick this up. Really, realistically, it's basically it could have been the first 2 chapters of Half-Blood, because Half-Blood goes right into where this ends. But I felt it was actually good because going into Half-Blood, I felt more cemented in with the world. Next up, I read Welcome to the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Rees Brennan. I was super duper excited to hear that we were getting more short stories. After the Bane Chronicles, I was I need more short stories in my life, and I was so happy to hear that Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson were back to bring us more, and Robin Wasserman is also part of the crew who's bringing us stories with Cassie. Highlight of this was definitely the dialogue. I could see Sarah Rees Brennan's humor shining through, and she's my favorite humorous YA author. I just love her humor so much. I bookmarked way too many lines. Let's just say that there was one character in the book that was way obsessed with Jace, fangirl obsessive with Jace, and she at one point said he was delicious. Now, this is where I started my Covenant spree. I was hoping to read the entire Covenant series by Jennifer L. Armentrout in 1 week. I did it in 8 days. I read Half-Blood, Half-Blood was a really, really, really good start. I loved it. It hooked me in. I wanted to know more. So, of course, I rushed out to read Pure next. And again, like, Pure stepped it up for me. And going into Deity, which was book 3, I was like, okay, I hear Deity's really good. Hopefully it's really good. Deity, like, blew my mind. I didn't think it could get better. And most of the reviews I had read, and people I'd, like, trusted almost ended at book 3. So I didn't really know, going into Apollyon, how much it would match up. And it blew my mind even more that she could write a better book than Deity in that series. And then here comes Centennial. Centennial had mixed reviews. It's the most highest rated one averagely on Goodreads, so I had a lot of faith going into it. Centennial was such a good conclusion. This is a series that I feel like isn't getting as much hype because, you know, if you're going to read Jennifer Armentrout, it's mostly recommended you read Lux. And yes, if someone is still getting into Jennifer Armentrout, I would say read Lux. But if you're someone who loved Lux, I do encourage you to read everything else she's written. That's my whole goal at the end of the year, to have read every single thing she's written. And I absolutely, utterly love what she does in everything she does. I also want to touch on that I did read Elixir, the short story, 3.5. After that, I picked up The Return by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the spin-off new adult series to Covenant. This one just came out this month, and that's kind of why I marathon Covenant, because I wanted to read this. This follows Seth, who's a character in Covenant that you'll get to know if you read Covenant. If you read Covenant and you're debating about reading this, I would encourage it. Even if you're like me and you're like hardcore Aiden fan, it's still really enjoyable. At the end of the month, I got a good chunk into The Winner's Curse by Marie Utosky, but I didn't finish it. So you'll see that in my March wrap up. Those were the 11 books I read this month, and I'm just super duper excited for March. I'm already having a successful reading month this March, and it's spring break for me. 2 weeks off school, tons and tons of reading time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Because literally, if I could have more hair and nails in my life, I would want them in my life.